In today's industry recap, Condor is suing the Lufthansa Group, Starflyer is suspending flights, and a new A320neo family order has been confirmed. Want to begin with the positives. Airbus, after what could only be described as a very busy last couple of weeks, is continuing that trend with a new order placed for its A320neo family. The deal coming from BOC Aviation, a leading aircraft lessor, which has entered into an agreement with Airbus for the purchase of 9 new planes. As part of the deal, a focus is placed on the A320neo family, as the lessor aims to deliver these planes to none other than Gulf Air in the future. All the recently purchased aircraft will be deployed to the company on a long-term lease. Included in the order are deals for 6 A320neo base models and 3 of the higher-capacity A321neo model aircraft, allowing Gulf Air to benefit from the best of both worlds and achieve an optimal balance in its operations. The planes are expected to enter the Gulf Air fleet sooner rather than later, with the leading lessor confirming deliveries will commence as early as this year, 2025, and continue thereafter. Gulf Air says they are pleased that they've been able to reach an agreement to really increase their flying in the A320neo family. This is a plane that is already part of their fleet, and yes, that includes the A321neo and even the A320neo models, both types flying. Ultimately, Gulf Air confirms that partnership with BOC Aviation should at least indicate to the vast majority the direction that it hopes to head in the future, with a greater focus on modernisation of its day-to-day ops and expanding possibilities for its route network. As for the A320neo family, well, it continues to experience rising levels of demand, with airlines acquiring the family's capabilities for their single-aisle ops. As more and more carriers begin to say farewell to 737NGs and A320ceo jets, Airbus is presenting its new engine option to be a continued possible alternative. Further expansion of the family, seen through the latest endeavour in the XLR, has changed the landscape even more for the manufacturer and airlines that are choosing to renew their fleets. While airlines continue to purchase planes from the A320neo family, the persistent struggle remains to work through an extensive backlog, given the challenges that we've seen right across our aviation industry, which have arguably been a lot harder to overcome than maybe what we would have first expected. Over to the next story, and it sits with Condor, a fellow German carrier to Lufthansa, has confirmed it'll file a lawsuit against the much larger competitor. The lawsuit centres around Lufthansa Group's most recent acquisition of ITA Airways and the eventual plan to make the stake firm to enhance its connectivity and grip on, importantly, the Italian market. The 41% stake, which was approved, has given Lufthansa Group significant control of ITA in that Italian market I speak of, allowing them to fend off competition and expand their base, while having greater control over the direction ITA Airways heads to benefit them. Despite already announcing that 41% stake, that minority stake is very likely to shift towards a majority, permitting something wasn't to go wrong between now and then, which probably further increases the concerns on Condor's part moving forward and why it's even moving forward with this lawsuit. They have expressed frustrations specifically towards the EU Commission's decision, first and foremost to even approve the takeover, knowing that there was always going to be possible repercussions that were likely to eventuate when this deal was approved. More importantly, the conditions for which the EU Commission approved the deal are deemed insufficient to mitigate the negative repercussions that Condor and other competing companies will face in the future. And yes, we're talking German companies, European ones, and other airlines that are looking to really dive into a similar space, such as what Lufthansa Group is doing with ITA. A lot of Condor's focus centers really around those competitive struggles it will now likely experience following the agreement reached between the two aforementioned parties. Competition, airfares, and customer impact are 3 pillars that are always going to be considered by governing regulators when consolidation occurs in really any industry. I know I'm focusing on the aviation industry in this respect, but it will extend to many other sectors. In terms of airlines, while more often than not, if there are negatives associated with those 3 pillars, and I'll just confirm that's 3 of the many, I'd argue these are some of your more headline and publicized areas of focus. Well, if that was really to throw up negatives, it would be blocked by a regulator. Depending on the severity, well, conditions may then be very well imposed that needed to be met to ensure that consolidation compensation is fair to all parties involved and those affected. For example, the Korean Air and Asiana Airlines merger, that is moving ahead, but it simply wasn't just smooth sailing. There were some pretty strong conditions in regards to the sale of the cargo unit for fear that if these two airlines came together, what is the impact it would have on the cargo scene in South Korea and beyond. In terms of the purchase that I am talking about today, just to refresh your memory, it involves Lufthansa closing its acquisition of ITA Airways at the beginning of this year in a deal that was worth 325 million euros. The all-important percentage was 41. Now, that is, for the moment, the amount we have, but don't expect it to just stay at that for much longer. In fact, before the 41% was even approved, Lufthansa made it pretty clear that they wanted even greater control of the European country and were only really looking to invest in ITA Airways if there was a belief that they could very quickly then make that a pretty much majority stake and fully take over ITA Airways, having real control over this company's operations. Over to the final story, and an airline that I don't typically cover here on the channel, and also just so happen a little bit of a fun fact for my mum who does watch these videos every morning. She loves this livery. It's one of her favourite paint schemes, and that is Japanese carrier Starflyer being forced to suspend almost 200 flights in the next 2 months. The decision, which was necessary but certainly impactful, is just another repercussion from the continuous Airbus aircraft delivery delays that are now affecting Starflyer's ability to grow. As reported by Aviation, Wire, later to be confirmed by the airline, approximately we're looking at just under 200 flights to be cancelled over a 1-month period. It is occurring, however, from June 23 through to July 23. The Japanese carrier suspending flying across 3 routes due to an inability to take delivery of new planes from Airbus. The plane in question that I am looking towards is a third A320neo. This family of aircraft brings truckloads of efficiency and is not just key for renewal but also growth and to facilitate certain routes operating at the rate that they normally would be doing so. That now is just not possible. Starflyer is being forced to just axe these because of those delivery delays. Initially, for example, the Japanese carrier expected to take delivery of that third A320neo I speak of in June, allowing for the smooth introduction of this type later on in its network. However, the delivery forecast has now been revised, with this now expected to take place in early July, marking a 1-month delay based on most recent forecasting, and that is a long enough delay to force changes on its network. Starflyer would hardly be the first airline to experience such an issue with the delivery of new planes. Many airlines around the world have been forced to suspend flying and or push back route launches, and we've even gone as far now as Airbus coming forward and saying that you can pretty much rule out any delivery across 2025, even into 2026, actually being delivered on time, and most airlines are already planning for multi-month delays. Let me know your thoughts on today's industry recap down below in the comments. Thank you very much for your support here on the channel. Take care, do be safe, and I'll see you tomorrow.
And we'll fly.